With parties in over 40 different countries, who are the self-confessed pirates? Originally mobilized around issues of file sharing and the relaxation of copyright law, the pirates have turned into a varied group of political actors. From the United Kingdom, in which they are lucky to get over 1,000 votes, to Iceland, where they are a force to be reckoned with, obtaining over 14% of the vote in the 2016 national elections. Who are the pirates? Where did they come from, and what do they believe? I buy some music and share it with my friends. This isn't exactly a controversial thing to do, nor say. Indeed, with the birth of the cassette, it was basically understood that this was an inevitability. So much so that a so-called cassette levy was placed on cassettes, CDs, DVDs, etc. to compensate the rights owner for the inevitable losses that result from this practice. This became augmented into EU law in 2001. However, this extra tax can't compensate for one person sharing their CD collection with thousands of others, and then these thousands sharing the same music and more simultaneously. This was, and still is, the bind placed on copyright holders by relatively novel peer-to-peer technology, that prior to the late 20th century never had to be dealt with nor could be predicted. By the early 2000s, hundreds of thousands of Americans were being sought for prosecution by media companies, who hired private investigators to track down those in breach of copyright law. The verdicts against file-sharing platforms Napster in 2003 and Grokster in 2005 increased a flurry of legal activity as media exponents attempted to tighten their grip around the internet to prevent copyright infringement. By 2004, prosecutions had spread to Europe, from Finland to Italy. This didn't generate much interest though. File sharing was largely confined to the young and tech-savvy. Little political capital could be made of the issue, and political parties, in general, remained apathetic or silent. This was soon to change. The Pirate Bay was launched in 2003. It was initially designed to be a solely Swedish tracker of torrent files, but as it grew, it eventually branched out and became global. Soon it could claim to be the biggest torrent site on the internet, receiving 2 million unique hits per day. On May 31, 2006, the Pirate Bay's servers were seized by Swedish police, acting under pressure from the Motion Picture Association. This brought the issue of illegal file sharing to the fore of Swedish consciousness as the event gained mass publicity and sparked demonstrations across the country. A large chunk of the Swedish public were outraged, and luckily for them, there was a political party waiting. The first pirate party was founded in Sweden in the January of 2006 by Rick Falkvinger. Falkvinger launched the domain, along with a website that, in his words, looked like shit, posted the site in a chat room, and lo and behold, within 3 days the site had received 3 million views. It was clear Falkvinger could gain some kind of support via the internet, but what about on a more practical level, in order to influence national politics? And, for that matter, international politics. The legal action against the Pirate Bay was just what the party needed, and the party began to receive mass publicity. As Falkvinger himself recalls, "We had been trying to get into mainstream media from January to May. But after the raid, suddenly my face was on every news broadcast on every hour, on every channel." The added publicity pushed the pirates into public consciousness, and their membership shot up by the thousand. It tripled within the week. But what were they standing for? What were their policies? Well, at this point the party had a very narrow scope, summarized in their first official manifesto released on August 28, 2006. The manifesto was split into 4 sections, 3 emphasizing policy points and the 4th emphasizing that there are no other policy points. The 3 points can be summarized thusly: increased transparency of government and business interests and activities, greater respect for personal privacy, and the reform of patent law. The manifesto then states, "The Pirate Party does not have any policies on issues that traditionally concerns the left-right scale, or any other issues outside of our program of policies," and discusses how the party would negotiate with other parties were it to receive a considerable vote share. The first elections they competed in were in the fall of 2006. The Pirates received 0.63% of the vote, amounting to just under 34,000 votes. Not exactly a huge success, but they had only been active for just over 6 months. The next key date for the Swedish Pirates was the 7th of June 2009. The European elections saw the Pirates in 5th place, receiving over 225,000 votes, over 7%, and gaining one seat and then another after the ratification of the Lisbon Treaty. Falkvinger, talking about the party's platform in 2009, clarified, "Our manifesto is to reform copyright laws and gradually abolish the patent system. We oppose mass surveillance and censorship on the net, as in the rest of society. We want to make the EU more democratic and transparent. This is our entire platform." Performing well in an EU election isn't so strange, as the EU was an important point of critique for the pirates. A controversial EU law known as IPRED allowed copyright holders access to the private information of internet service provider users. This was to enable the identification and tracking of those suspected of illegal file sharing. So far, the focus has been on Sweden, but Sweden is certainly not the only country to have its pirate party, nor is it the country home to the most successful pirate party. Since 2006, numerous parties have popped up in other European and non-European countries, including the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Germany, Slovakia, the USA, Canada, France, Austria, Finland, and many others. Some of these parties are affiliated with each other through the Pirate Parties International, founded in 2010, and others are unaffiliated and more independent. Some of these parties have been particularly successful, and others have been less than a blip on the political landscape. The German Pirate Party have experienced moderate success in state elections. Founded in 2006, the party galvanized the public in 2009 in response to the Bundestag attempting to pass the polarizing Access Impediment Act, which, according to the pirates, saw the government using child pornography as a means to ban other file-sharing websites. In the end, the act was scrapped in 2011. By 2011, the party's platform had altered. Between 2010 and 2011, the party underwent a transformation, which brought the northern party branches into conflict with those of the south. The conflict emerged between those in the north that wanted to broaden the party platform, and those in the south that were more conservative and wished to focus solely on the issues of new media. In the end, the north won, and the party became an explicitly left-wing, progressive political outfit. This worked for the party on a short-term basis. In 2011, the party earned over 8% of the vote in the Berlin state elections and were predicted to obtain as much as 13% in the polls in the 2013 federal elections. Unfortunately for them, infighting and scandal brought the party down, and by 2016 the party had lost all their seats in the Berlin State Assembly. A failure made all the more disgraceful by the murder-suicide case of Claus-Brunner, a pirate on the Berlin State Assembly who killed a former party employee before killing himself. The pirates over time have broadened their horizons. Indeed, it is severely limiting to concentrate your efforts on mobilizing those passionate about internet regulations and file sharing. Instead, the pirate movement has gradually evolved, in some places, to one promoting more direct forms of democracy. For example, the UK Pirate Party's manifesto explicitly states it exists to reinvigorate democracy. Democracy is in crisis in the United Kingdom. Whether it is online or on the doorstep, people are telling us that they feel alienated, ignored, that they have given up voting as it changes nothing. The Pirate Party of the Czech Republic wishes to introduce an electronic voting system and digital identities that can be used for political as well as financial day-to-day activities. That said, this step requires database centralization of personal information, something that other pirate parties would oppose. We also see an increased emphasis on culture sharing as opposed to file sharing, with the party claiming that the illegal sharing of information has been very important in our history, as it disrupted the monopoly on information of the totalitarian regimes, attempting to tie the key issue of data transmission to a national Czech identity. So far, it seems the pirate parties are a novel, albeit marginal, political force. However, this eludes one particular case. In the Icelandic elections of 2016, the Pirate Party obtained over 14% of the national vote, making them the third largest political force in the country. At one point, the party seemed likely to win the elections with as much as 46%, although this wasn't to pass. So how on earth did this happen? Iceland went through a tough financial crisis in 2008, largely the fault of banks who misused short-term credits and high-risk investments. This led to mass political disaffection, as politicians came to be associated with the banking sector and representatives of corporate interests. This resulted in 2009 with the Icelandic people electing their first ever left-wing government, consisting of the Social Democratic Alliance and the Left Green movement. This government, for the first time also, made moves towards Iceland's ascension to the EU. Then in 2013, this government was voted out. The new government made the incredibly unpopular decision of halting talks with the EU without a referendum, and then to make matters even worse, the Panama Papers scandal disgraced the then Prime Minister Gunnlaugsson of the Progressive Party, who subsequently stepped down. To be blunt, faith in politics was at an all-time low. The Icelandic pirates were positioned well to capitalise. Founded in 2012, they had no associations with the financial crisis of 2008, and thus could claim to be one of the few political organisations with clean hands. However, it goes deeper than that. WikiLeaks in 2009 were very active in Iceland and released information pertaining to the banking crisis of 2008, exposing the bank Kaupthing's shady dealings with their shareholders. A court order made it illegal for the media to discuss the bank and their affairs, and thus the media turned the public onto WikiLeaks for more information. One of the key media faces that spoke out in favour of WikiLeaks was Birgitta Jónsdóttir, a co-founder of the Pirate Party. Not only that, but Jónsdóttir campaigned tirelessly for the Icelandic Modern Media Initiative, which passed in 2010. This gave increased protection in Iceland to journalists and whistleblowers, leading some media commentators to refer to Iceland as the Switzerland of data. The point is, by the time the party was founded in 2012, a leading member had already contributed to Icelandic society and public awareness. Then, come 2015, the party launched a successful campaign to repeal Iceland's blasphemy law in the name of free speech following the Charlie Hebdo attacks in France. To wit, the party and its members were able to take issues of file sharing, internet surveillance, increased transparency, and apply them in ways to make them relevant for the general population, with tangible policy effects on political and public life. As a result, the party lays claim to the joint second largest number of seats in the Icelandic parliament. Maybe the pirates are part of a broader trend. Of course, they differ significantly from country to country, and the Icelandic Pirate Party has no ties to pirate parties international. But it does seem that the Icelandic manifestation of the movement has key similarities with, say, Five Star Movement in Italy, who also stress technology, with free internet access being one of their core policy points, as well as more direct democracy, anti-corruption and transparency. See my video on them for more information. Unfortunately, for the parties in Germany and Sweden, they've lost significant strength and are now incredibly marginal political forces, like the rest of the pirates throughout the Western world. But maybe we shouldn't write them off. Throughout Europe, we have seen increased political fragmentation and the birth of the single-issue party. Having a party stand up unconditionally for the preservation of online freedoms hardly seems a bad thing to me. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, please click like, and hey, why not subscribe? If you didn't, click dislike and leave a comment to tell me what I got wrong. Big thanks to all my patrons. It's thanks to you that these videos are here and regular. If you like the channel, please consider donating if it's within your means to do so. Thanks again, and until next time.